President Biden landing in South Korea, taking his first trip to Asia since taking office, hoping to reinforce Indo-Pacific ties amid the Ukraine war. The first leg of his trip touring a Samsung plant, advocating economic security as the U.S. continues to fight global supply chain disruptions caused by the pandemic. The trip comes at a critical time for Biden's foreign policy as the region continues to grapple with China's rising influence and threats of nukes from North Korea. Let's bring in ABC's Britt Clinton in Seoul, along with White House correspondent Mary Alice Parks for more. Britt, let's start with you. You're there. President Biden scheduled to visit with U.S. troops stationed in South Korea. Let's talk about the importance of that and the U.S. military presence in North Korea, especially with these recent missile tests.
It is extremely important, Kara. You know, South Korea is a very strong ally to the U.S., historically very strong, and those ties have only grown stronger over the years, especially with the looming threat of North Korea. We have to remember that although Ukraine has dominated much of the Biden administration's attention lately, this trip, his first to Asia as U.S. president, comes at a time of very high tension here in Asia, and so enforcing these close friendships is extremely critical. Now, front and center here is North Korea. It's on everyone's minds. You know, the U.S. says there is a real risk that Pyongyang could conduct another missile launch, even a nuclear test. With Biden here on the ground, that would be shocking and really viewed as a huge provocation. It would be the first time, Kara, that the North has fired a missile with a U.S. leader visiting here. South Korea said it has a contingency plan B. They're calling it if the North fires a missile during Biden's visit, where the two can kind of jump into a joint defense posture. But North Korea readying this based on U.S. intelligence, even as it faces an escalating COVID crisis. U.S. officials, though, saying that in any event, they are prepared if the North goes through with a test.
And Mary Alice, the other big focus of this trip, of course, is China. Biden came to office promising that countering the rise of China would be a top priority, but that has been overshadowed clearly by the war in Ukraine. So what does the president need to do to reaffirm that promise and send a message to Beijing?
Yeah, Kara, you're exactly right. The president came into office saying that he wanted to make it a top priority, countering Chinese aggression, countering Chinese autocracy. And I think a big part of this trip, which, like you said, has China looming large over all of it, is his willingness and his desire to underscore and reinforce the relationship between the U.S. and Asian democracies. He wants to really shore up those relationships and in some ways point to what has happened in Europe as a warning to China, to say that the United States stands firmly behind all of its allies and partners and is willing to back up democracies across the globe.
So, Britt, sources tell ABC News 2 Secret Service employees were actually sent home from South Korea before Biden's arrival after this alleged drinking incident. What more can you tell us?
Well, ABC News understands that one of these guys was an agent and the other an armed physical security specialist. They were here to prepare for Biden's arrival, but they've now been sent home after an alleged alcohol-fueled incident, we understand, that ended with a report being filed with local police here. Now, sources tell ABC News the personnel were assigned to help prepare for the presidential visit when they went out for dinner and they stopped at several bars. And as the evening progressed, the 2 Secret Service staffers, they became intoxicated and got into an argument with a cab driver. Again, this is all according to ABC sources.
Okay, we will follow that, of course. Mary Alice, meanwhile, South Korean president has only been in office for 1 week now. How important is this meeting for him and the relationship between South Korea and the U.S.?
Yeah, I think it's a really big honor that the president is taking time to be there. That's the message the White House wanted to send. And clearly the White House is looking for South Korea to stand with them in response to China. There's been some frustration from the U.S. in the past that South Korea has been unwilling to take such a strong stance. And a big part of this is the United States saying they're going to stand together.
All right, well, we'll follow the trip from the beginning to the end. Britt, Mary Alice, thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.